Hello and welcome to this webinar interview. I'm Francis Seeley from Mental Voices and Global Net 21, and this is one of the regular interviews we do, looking at some of the work people are doing in our borough to make a difference. And this is a particularly interesting interview we're going to do today because we're getting very near the Christmas season. It's under a week away now. And we're going to look at the problem of loneliness. Now, this is a problem that people face throughout the year, and people of all ages and different classes and groups that they come from. But at Christmas, people feel this problem very strongly, very often. And we've got two people with us today, Christina Georgiou and Alex Bunch, who have decided to set up a project to help those people who feel lonely, not just at Christmas, but after that as well. So I'm really pleased they're with us today, and we're going to interview them about that. So maybe I could welcome them and start by asking them, first of all, if they tell us a bit about themselves, not about necessarily the project, but a bit about themselves. Where do you come from? I mean, what do you do? What's your background? Welcome to the interview, both of you.
Morning, thank you.
Morning, thanks. I mean, Alex, you want to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Alex. I live in Oakwood. I work for a telecommunications company. That's my day job. I've been with them for about 22 years. I do enjoy my job, but obviously I do find I need something else to be getting on with. And this was kind of like what we wanted to do. Christina?
So I'm Christina Georgiou. I'm from Enfield. I do work in a law firm, currently off sick at the moment with poor health, but nonetheless, I've kept myself busy with our Loneliness event since the summer, so it's been great to occupy myself with something rather than being sat twiddling my thumbs.
Okay, so you have this background, and it's not a background in social care or social services, but you've obviously felt quite strongly about the issue of loneliness. What led you to your interest in this?
I did come across a lot of videos all over social media, on the news, of this epidemic that seems to be spiraling, where people are beginning to feel so lonely and feel like they've got nowhere to go, no one to turn to, despite they might have family and friends, but they might live far or they might live out of the country. And for me, having experienced loneliness once upon a time in my life, it was something that kind of, I felt like I latched to the topic and I felt quite passionate about, and I felt like I wanted to do something to change that and to help. So the only thing I thought was, if there's a change and it needs to happen, why not start with myself? And that's where I came up with hosting an event every other Saturday on a fortnight, to basically get people out the house and let people know that you don't have to feel lonely. There is other people that want to, hear from you and see you, and it's more of a personal touch, I guess, than WhatsApp and and Facebook and Instagram and all that. So it's more personal and it's more human engagement and interaction.
And Alex, how did you get involved in it? Did Christina drag you into it?
Well, pretty much, you've got spot on, actually, to be fair. I've done lots of voluntary stuff in the past, and not that I was frustrated with some of the organisations, but I wasn't quite sure in the direction that they were taking it to, and I wanted to be a little bit more hands-on. And when Christina approached me about this, it was like a light bulb moment. It was like, yeah, I got to get involved. And
you've been hands-on ever since.
Yeah, I mean, initially I was just going to come on, do a little bit of consultancy, just maybe come in, have a cup of tea with someone and go. And literally, I haven't missed a week since day one.
And he's had the fort on a few times that I've had surgery, annual leave, so it's been great help. It's
been really interesting, actually, to be honest with you. I mean, initially, I went there thinking, I'm going to go there and speak to people, be hands-on for other people. But then the more that I go there, the more that I enjoy being there, talking to people and the interaction. Although I don't really classify myself as, as a lonely person, but I really do enjoy that interaction and, and making some new friends down there. And we've got some great relationships going on down there, and, we do enjoy what we do now. I
feel like we've met people there that we probably wouldn't cross paths with in our ordinary, normal lives. So every other Saturday, it's nice that we meet people we typically wouldn't meet in our normal daily lives and our routine. So on that Saturday, I do look forward to catching up with our regulars, which is really nice.
And also, I think the more that we do it, we kind of realise how large the epidemic was. Is that, you know, initially when I first joined it, I just thought, you know, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But then the more, you know, week on week, and, you know, we kind of realise, you know, it affects all different people in all different ways. And, you know, and there is so many kind of different people in different stages of life that, you know, we just get surprised every week.
I do find that as well, it's quite rewarding when we hear on a fortnightly basis when we go how much it's helped someone's mood. We've had people that never used to leave the house, started off gently by just coming to our event every fortnight, and now find themselves every other week, or every weekend, should I say, busy. They find themselves always going somewhere or having something to do, and that's because they now have the confidence to get out the house and meet with people and do things rather than be you know, trapped in their own space at home. So it's quite rewarding that I feel that we are making such a difference, aren't we, Alex?
Yeah.
So what made you think this was a really big problem, loneliness? I mean, and how did you sort of discover that? And did you discover it was a problem that existed in Enfield as well?
Oh no, I think the topic lies, you know, maybe worldwide, but obviously we're starting off small within the borough of Enfield and hoping that this will eventually trend. When I used to see on the videos on social media and on the news, it was quite upsetting that some of it was really hitting home. There was a video that I saw on the news about a lady who would spend, you know, 10 minutes at the cashier till talking, and someone behind, you know, women and I, huffing and puffing, you know, hurry up, hurry up. And the lady would say, this is my only conversation for the week. It's my only human engagement interaction. So I'm sorry, I can go on quite a bit and talk. And then it really hit me that, yeah, we do find ourselves being a bit impatient and always in a rush. We don't realise the person in front, this could be their only human interaction all week. So we really should allow them that time. And that's when I thought that's not right for someone to have to wait for the postman to knock for a delivery, for them to speak to someone, for them to have to go once a week, food shop and speak to the cashier. So it's something I wanted to enforce, that everyone had somewhere to be, and with the stigma of not having to get out of the house and not being able to have the money for it, which is why it's a non-profit.
And to touch on what you said about the Enfield thing, we didn't realise it was such a big thing until other organisations within Enfield started to reach out to us. So we've had various different people within Enfield come to us and say, yeah, you're doing a great thing, you know, we'd like to be involved. You know, one is part of where, you know, our 2019 kind of objectives is to kind of you know, outreach to some of these people and see if we can do some collaboration with them, because there are lots of, I mean, there's no one that does anything specifically like this, but there is some other great work going on in Enfield that we want to try to collaborate with, maybe to pull more people into what we do, and maybe, you know, so that our people can also go to their events and stuff like that. And you know, there should, we need to do definitely more collaboration within Enfield, and we definitely need to get as many people, you know, maybe contact us, speak to us, and see what we can do to improve, you know, the collaboration that we've got within Enfield.
So you had this sort of Eureka moment in the supermarket when you saw the lady behind the cashier. You know, what happened then? What did you decide to do? What was the actual, you know, event that you decided that would start all this off?
I think just the light bulb went off from that instant, and I thought, I'm currently off sick from work at the moment with poor health. I am bored. I want to make a difference, and I've always been very much so hands-on when it comes to voluntary and charity work. And I felt like I wanted to make a difference. So then I started reaching out, asking people, you know, where venues were available, and tried to put it in my head, how can I make this event have no stigma that if you've got no money you can't come, because this day and age it is very expensive to socialize, you know, whether it be for a drink or the cinema or whatever. So that's when I had got in touch with people, and then it spiraled through contacts, and luckily we've had Hot White's Bakery, which are based on Chase Side in Enfield, have been absolutely amazing. They started donating us some delicious treats that we would have at the event. And it was fantastic. We got great funding. I set up a GoFundMe page on Facebook, to raise money in order to cover the cost of the teas, the coffees, the events. In any case, and the hire at first, and it was great. And thereafter, we started to run out of funding. So we self-funded a few of the events ourselves, personally out of our own pockets. And that's when we kind of hit a brick wall, which I'll let Alex explain to you, which was the difficulties when our funding ran out, and we were then self-funding, and how we overcome that.
So before you tell us about the difficulties, I mean, tell us exactly where you meet now and how you reach out to people. How do you find people who are lonely?
Well, yeah, I mean, that was part of the difficulties of the journey as well, because we just thought, you know, we'd go on Facebook, we'll tell everyone where we was, and we'll be there at 11, then people would come to us. Very, very soon we realised that doesn't work, because some people don't identify themselves as lonely. Facebook is only quite a narrow stream of people. You know, we try, you know, so our current, well, our long-term home, and we hope to be here, is at the Winchmore pub.
It's at 235 Winchmore Hill Road, N21 1QA.
And we got to thank those guys down there, because initially, you know, we was hiring the space, and they were very forward thinking and said, you know, we want to progress this and help you guys. So now, you know, they give us that space free of charge. You know, they help us, you know, they provide the water, the teas and coffees as much as they can do. You know, they're great down there. They promote us as much as they can.
They introduce us to Hot White's Bakery as well.
You know, they're trying to link us through, you know, some of the contacts that they've got. So we were quite fortunate with that. I mean, so you know, but we also had another route which we were going to take, which was working with Enfield Libraries, but we'll probably touch on that a little bit later on.
Which more kind of saved our first home.
And I think one of the things that that we did right from the beginning is that, you know, we established somewhere as a home, and we stuck with it. I mean, we could have quite easily chopped and changed, and you know, maybe changed location. But what we found was that, you know, our commitment to people is that we will be there every other Saturday. If one person turns up, or if 50 people turn up, we'll be there from 11 till 1. And that's just the way that we stuck with it, you know, and you know, admittedly, it probably didn't work so well on a few weeks, because we was just like 1 or 2 people, but you know, our numbers started to pick up through the summer, and since then we've been going from strength to strength, really.
So you know, you reach out to people through the contacts you've got. I mean, have you worked with, you know, I mean, you mentioned the libraries, but have you worked with local authority outlets and maybe had leaflets there that tell people about what you're doing? Or is that a funding issue? You need to get funding to do that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the Enfield Libraries were very, very helpful. You know, we gave them some leaflets. They promoted us internally. You know, we had
the Metropolitan retweet us as well. They saw our posters and our flyers.
Yeah, I mean,
so the Met Police have been great in supporting us.
Yeah, I mean, we've been out to a couple of local events. We've put some flyers up.
N21 online.
N21 online, yeah, have been very supportive. We've done stuff in newspapers. The Enfield Independent, was it?
Yeah, and we've got our leaflets that we distribute through houses.
We do a lot of leaflet drop-in. We also do some handing out of leaflets, but that doesn't work so well when you're literally giving leaflets to people.
We've got the banner outside now, outside the Winchmore pub, which is great. But sometimes the only difficulty I feel like we faced with our first set of marketing leaflets was the branding. It was called Lonely Less, which is we're trying to less the loneliness. And when we typically handed them out to people, their first response was, well, I'm not lonely. And I said, well, you don't have to be lonely. It's just nice to come out, have a free tea and coffee or a cake, a biscuit. So now we've branded ourselves as Togetherness, which is going to bring happiness and eliminate loneliness. So that's one hurdle that we actually faced with our first set of marketing.
And also, as well as that, you know, in some ways, it's very easy just saying, yeah, we're going to be somewhere between 11 and 1. But what we struggled with a lot was getting the message out there, either via the internet, either via Facebook, either via leaflet dropping. Yeah, there were so many different ways that we tried. Some of them were more successful than others. You know, word of mouth worked quite well. You know, people suggesting us to other people, that worked quite well. But definitely now that, and one of the things that we wanted to do as well was we didn't want to grow too quickly. So initially we were quite organic in the fact that we thought that, you know, we would start, we'll pick up a couple of people, we'll take on other people's suggestions, because we didn't really want to do something that someone else is doing. We just wanted to see, you know, how we could do it. And so in the beginning, we tried different avenues. Obviously, we had to be, because we were funded via donation, we had to be quite responsible with people's money as well. So we didn't sort of go out there and, you know, and buy lavish banners. Obviously, now we've got some funding, we've got some great banners, as you can see behind us. And that, you know, that's starting to pick up now. But initially, yeah, there were some difficulties. With regards
the main
to that.
thing is just for us being able to market on a wider scale, and hopefully with this interview people will know that this facility is available, because it's one thing us turning up in, you know, every fortnight, and whether it works for 1 or 2 people or 50 people, we're more than happy to still attend, and we still do. It's just letting people know that this facility is available and for people to use it as they need, you know, because it's one thing having the facility and then not using it and still feeling lonely. We'd rather you get out of the house.
The thing you said was quite interesting, actually. You called it togetherness. I guess that's a recognition that a lot of people who are lonely don't actually want to admit that they're lonely, but if they came to
there's a stigma with it, and people kind of do look at you quite bizarrely when you say a loneliness, and they say, oh, I'm not lonely, and I'm like, you don't have to be. Or I feel like over the period of time, we have been up and running since I think May, June times, and people have come out with more stories on a deeper level and really opened up in front of each other about experiences of loneliness. And this is something everyone was very reluctant at the beginning to even admit that they experienced it, let alone what the experience in itself was and what their stories behind it were.
Yeah, I mean, and that was part of our growth thing as well, is, you know, we took on board because on paper it looks like a great idea, lonely less, it looks great. But, you know, and you know, even the Winchmore said to us, look, you know, we got your leaflets here, but we're not getting great feedback because we're giving them out and people are looking at us saying like, well, you know, I'm not lonely, you know, no, thank you. So we wanted to kind of like change that around a little bit, and we've definitely got some more positive feedback regarding it.
Okay, so when people come to your sort of event in the Winchmore pub, I mean, what would they expect to happen? Just give people some idea of what happens there so that they can feel, you know, secure in coming.
Would you know something? It really depends on, you know, likewise, what we prefer to do is maybe people to reach out before they just turn up, because some people feel a bit intimidated just turning up. And so what we try to always do is, most people that turn up to our events normally contact one of the 2 of us beforehand. And
not that it's an issue if you don't.
Yeah, no, of course.
But yeah, it's just a nice intro, because some people feel a bit timid walking in, everyone knowing each other over the months of growth of relationships.
So generally speaking, you know, we're the first point of contact. You know, we sit down, we introduce ourselves, we make them a cup of coffee. It's very, very informal. You know, they can, you know, if they want to, there's no pressure. You know, they can just sit down by themselves, but, you know, or they can join one of our groups, discussion groups. We introduce
to other people as well and say, like, you know.
And strangely enough, what we do find is that people that come to us, you know, they are actually quite keen to introduce themselves. You know, sometimes there is a lot of like, you know, there is a bit like, you know, a little bit hesitation. Yeah. But normally, you know, once they've met us and we've had a chat, you know, they're normally quite happy to sit down and talk within the group format. You know, obviously, you know, there have been some people that have just come to us and they've just like
a bit quiet.
Yeah, they're a bit quiet, and they feel quite familiar with us. And don't really want to be involved with the group, which is fine, you know.
But our group is quite inviting. Like, we do find our regulars are always like, oh, nice to meet you. You know, how long have you been coming for? And then the regulars are the ones that drag in the new people and kind of make them feel really welcome, which is lovely. Yeah. So our typical day on a Saturday, we get there, have tea and coffee. We've got delicious hot pastries from Hot Whites. We also have biscuits. We try to accommodate for those diabetics and bring fruit as well. And thereafter, so we have a little hour of chit chat, and then Alex, which is really good at quizzes, he then puts together the quiz, and we separate in teams, and then we'll do the quiz. So it's more like team building. So we sit with people that don't and come together. So very new people with regulars, and it makes friendships like that, which is great.
Yeah. So do people come back, or do they just come, go away? And those people who do go away, do you keep contact with them in any way?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the other things that we did initially, because when people first came to us, we wasn't really jumping them and saying, "Oh, look, give us your contact details," because we didn't think that was right. So initially, there were a few people that came once, and then we kind of lost contact with them. And you know, some of the feedback that we had as well, you know, some people weren't sure what we were doing. You know, they came down to see what they were doing. You know, some people thought that, you know, I mean, I've had a conversation with someone that just thought that it was kind of like a bit like a dating site, and it was like, no, we're not a dating site. No, that's not what we do.
Some people wanted to come as well, I think, to see if they could help. But while our event is on a smaller scale at the minute, we kind of said when we grow, we would definitely love to have more hands-on. So a few people actually came in the aim to kind of help out, but there wasn't much for them to do.
Yeah.
But they found that they weren't lonely. They were either retired or off work at the moment, and it was a way of keeping busy. So.
I mean, and what we do now, because obviously, you know, I admit we are a lot better at it now. You know, if people are happy to give us their contact details, you know,
we keep in touch.
Yeah, we keep in touch. I mean, a lot of the times as well, because obviously we do every other Saturday, it can be a little bit confusing, and especially if people, you know, we've got some people that aren't on sort of social media. So some of those people, like, they prefer the personal touch. So, you know, we normally give them a call just to let them know that we will be running on Saturday. So we've got, you know, there's no right way of doing it. We've got some people that we call, some people that we text. We've got a whole load of people that we email. Some people come to our social media pages and
just trying to remind them that when we're running, because it can be a bit confusing from every other Saturday. And
look, you know, and also, you know, it isn't, you know, I'm going to be honest with you, it isn't for everyone, because some people came down and you know, we were doing a quiz one week and they went, "Oh, I don't really want to do a quiz." And we went, "Look, it's fine. You're quite, you know, you can sit over there. We can do something else."
We've done that accent game as well. So we try and find things that break the atmosphere. This accent game we've done, and it's quite funny because everyone tries their best to put on a different accent and guess where the quote is, which film it's from. So fun things like that kind of break that more seriousness.
But, you know,
so you haven't had your first marriage yet, but you've still got people together and they're talking. I mean,
we've got good friendships that have blossomed from it.
Yeah. Do you plan to carry this on throughout the year? And are you going to keep it as a drop-in centre, or are you planning other things as well?
Well, yeah.
I think we definitely continue to keep this for as long as it wants to go on for. As long as people need it and want to use this facility, then there shouldn't be a reason why neither of us can't host it.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've started a new phase of trying to push ourselves as well. You know, we've got new leaflets. You know, there's a lot of work going on with our webpage at the moment to make that a little bit more friendlier, so that people can, you know, if you know, we needed a landing point, which people are going to be able to go to. Yeah, I mean, I don't see us not doing this.
I don't see us not doing it. The aim actually is for people to identify how well this works for a lot of people, and then trend this in other places, whether it be still within the Enfield borough, whether it be out of London or in other countries, and even on different days. So you find that our regulars will be out of the house not only every other Saturday, but maybe on a Thursday somewhere else and a Tuesday somewhere else, and that's the aim, that it trends.
I mean, we've already been asked whether we want to go every Saturday, which
by
is
our
something,
regulars as well.
Yeah, which is something that we are considering. We are looking at some midweek stuff also, that we might do some one-off stuff during the summer. We have had, you know, the odd event here and there, which we do outside the Saturdays as well, which we're going to do more of next year, and there'll be more information about that on our webpage. You know, we are working with other people as well, so that, you know, our intention was that, you know, we just want people, I mean, to be honest with you, it's great that people come to us every week, but the purpose is that, you know, they come to us, they you know, we help them, they help us, they refocus on what they want to do, and you know, and one of the things as well, I mean, I guess it's some of our success that we have lost people, because, you know, people did come to us initially, and they kind of found some sort of purpose, whether it was through us, whether we gave them that little push that they needed, and probably, you know, they touching with us every so often, but they probably feel that, you know, they actually come to us to help us rather than anything else. You know, they'll come in and they'll sit with people, and, you know, they'll want to help, and they'll want to run events with us and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
just hoping that people obviously want to be part of something similar, and we're not afraid of our regulars or anyone else if they choose to go somewhere else on another Saturday elsewhere, as long as that they feel that loneliness epidemic shall be over soon, when loads of people decide, because a few people have mentioned to me that they'd like to start their own events like this, and that's exactly what my aim is, for people to be inspired and want to start something, so it trends, so that there's more facilities available to those that do feel lonely.
Yeah, we've got about 5 minutes left, and I mean, it's quite interesting that you would like to see it develop in other areas, network it out, in other words. So if anyone is watching this and, you know, live outside of the Enfield area, I'm sure if they get in touch with you, you can help them to do that. Yeah. I mean, do you need help as well? I mean, do you need volunteers to help you? And if you do, if there are people there who want to come in, they think what you're doing is absolutely great. How do they get in touch with you? What do they do? They
can get in touch with us via our email address, which is lonelylessevents@hotmail.com. So note the less rather than ness, lonelylessevents@hotmail.com. And we're always going to be looking for stuff, because, as we say, our aim is to grow on a larger scale eventually, and soon to come in the future. So the larger we grow, we will then go to every Saturday, and it'd be nice and very helpful, obviously, if we had extra people hands-on that would be able to trust and run our event for us.
I mean, obviously, we you know, initially that was one of the things, because we're quite shielded over the people that come to us. So, you know, we didn't want to expand too fast, because we don't really, you know, we don't want to entrust people just to anyone. But I know, Francis, that there's been people through Enfield Voices that have also contacted us already that might want to do some collaboration with us. And I think a couple of them may even be watching this. So obviously, I know that we haven't managed to link up yet, but that's definitely something that we're going to be doing in the new year, to speak to you guys so that we could do some collaboration.
Okay, I mean, that's great. I'm really pleased to hear that Enfield Voices is helping you out, and that's great, because I hope that's partly what we're about as well. Okay, so tell me, as we get close to the end, I mean, what does this both mean personally to you?
To me personally, it means that I'm making a change, and I've always been that way inclined to make sure that I make a difference in someone's life. 1, 50, 100. I just want to know that I'm making the difference. I feel my purpose, my calling, shall I say, is to care for people and make a difference and help people. So I feel like this was greatly suited for me, given the fact that I have experienced loneliness before. And loads of people will say, oh God, you're in your late 20s, how on earth could you be lonely? You have so many friends. But sometimes I think people don't realise it's when you put your head down on the pillow late at night, you know, on those weekends where you're home and you're out of your work routine, that you do feel lonely. So I just wanted to kind of spread it out, that it's okay to feel that way, and it's okay to want to change that and get out and socialise more at no cost, which is why everything at our event is free of charge and based on really just donations as to whatever you have spare in your pocket. There would be no stigma that if you can't you know, afford to come out, that you can't come to the event. I don't want that at all. So me and Alex have done really great by making sure that we facilitate all our time on the Saturdays to welcome people and reassure them that, you know, still come down. It doesn't matter if you haven't got money, and just get out of the house for a few hours. And it makes all the difference. People have widely and hugely expressed how helpful these Saturdays are to them. I think that's what really keeps us going.
And you, Alex?
You know, it's a really difficult one, actually, because I mean, there is a certain amount of like, I don't know if self-fulfillment is the right word, but, you know, I go there, I enjoy talking to people, I enjoy being that difference, and I am a firm believer in that if you want to make a difference, it needs to start from somewhere. And, you know, and as we sit here right now, you know, that's what we want to be. We want to be that anchor point that leads on to other things and progresses this. Because, yes, look, you know, it is an epidemic, and I think that you know, we can make a change to it, even if it's just for one person. Because, you know, one person speaks to another person speaks to another person, you know, it can happen. And I think that's what I want to see. You know, I want to see, you know, more people out there, more people, you know, when you actually think about it and you focus, is that, you know, it's just the right thing to do.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm a great believer in starting somewhere, jumping in at the deep end, because that's the only way you get things going. And you really do. That's great that you've done it that way. Just very briefly, tell us, when's your next event and how regular will they be?
So I'll just kick off quickly saying that we had a wonderful Christmas lunch last Saturday just gone, for those that won't have many people to spend Christmas with, which was brilliant. And thank you to the Winchmore for putting on a brilliant spread just for the cost of the food only. And our next events are
the 29th of December. And we're actually going to do, because of the Christmas period and because, you know, people did ask, we're going to do back-to-back weeks. So we're doing the 29th of December and we're going to be doing the 5th of January. So we're going to have back-to-back weeks to give people, you know, an opportunity to come and be with people they want to be with over that Christmas period, because some of the people don't have anyone.
We've got Christmas Day.
But also, it's not something that we're doing, but I also want to shout out to a place called Nanny's Apples in Oakwood. And Nanny Apples, they're inside the florist. And stop laughing, Christina. They are they're doing a Christmas Day tea and coffee thing for anyone that wants to turn up between 11 and 1 on Christmas Day, and I'll be there helping out also.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for doing that. And I mean, I think people will be really, really interested in what you're doing, and I'm sure people will contact you. And please, if you are interested in Alex and Christina's project, please make contact with them, and they'll be in touch with you, I'm sure, to help out. So thank you for doing this, because
thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
Well, I'm really pleased that you came on, because I think, you know, people will understand that you're fulfilling a real need. Anyhow, this is our last interview until the new year. So I just want to end up by saying to everyone on Enfield Voices and all the other networks that we share this with, and thank you for sharing it with us, because I think the stories we tell are worth having broadcast in a wide area. I want to say, all of you, I hope you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we'll end this interview now.